Greetings, everyone. Welcome. How's everybody doing? Hey, Ladera. You're the only person's face I.
Hello, hey.
But everyone, there are others who are here. Come on, you guys. Turn your cameras on. Don't hide out, please. Hi. Look at that sweet doggy.
I'm just getting home, so she just seen me for the first time.
She's so happy. Oh, we love you. We love you, right? Oh,
Oh,
what a
she is
sweet
the
dog.
best. I know you.
You all welcome. So tonight is the access call is a call that I do for 13 moons, and we do it in um at the midpoint of the cycle, which comes at the seeing phase. And if you guys pay attention to the moon, the moon goes through these cycles where it's a sliver and then it grows and then it's a half point. So the axis call comes at the seeing phase, which is when the moon is at the half point. And for those of you, how many of you here are in the moon work? You guys don't have your cameras on. Like, come on, y'all. Is it unless you absolutely can't? Like, um, yeah, we're
I'm
about to.
in the dark. I don't think you can see me.
That's okay. That's fine.
Okay.
We're here to have I want you guys to engage. If you don't want to engage, then it's okay for you not to be on the call. Okay. Madeline, I understand that. Yeah, if you don't want to engage, then this is not the space. And it's okay because there'll be other times, right? So the the so my intention tonight is I'm going to pray us in. I want to talk about the moon cycles because everybody here is not in the moon work, even though maybe you've been in the moon work before. And then I want to do check-ins because we're in an eclipse window, which is pretty intense. And so let's have some check-ins and just, you know, like see where you are with it because it's a lot going on. All right, so I'm gonna pray us in, and then I will begin. I'll talk about the moon cycles. All right. Oh, thank you, Spirit. So let's just take 3 deep breaths, and as we breathe in, let's breathe in deep into the abdomen. But as we breathe in deeply, release the day. Release everything that came before this moment. So on the count of 3, 1, 2, 3, breathe in, hold, and then release. Let it all go. Let the to-do list go. Let the conversations from the day go. Let the stress, the anxiety, let it all go. Breathe in and then release. Push it all the way out. Empty your belly. Breathe in and then release. Heavenly Father, Mother God, how good it is to center into this divine, perfect moment. In this experience of the access call, I give thanks for each and every one of us who has shown up to do the work for our own purpose, our own process, our own healing, our own transformation. And I trust and know that this work during this time and this eclipse energy is deep and intense, but the purpose for this is for our highest and best good, is for our internal revolution. This is a profound time to step up into an experience of our authentic selves, our authentic ways of being, and to trust that we are being led, we're being guided, and that we are right where we need to be. And that in this present moment, we gracefully, easily, willingly release old relationship patterns, old patterns of devaluing ourselves, old patterns of hiding, distrust of ourselves, old patterns of not actually knowing how loved we are by the universe, the creator of the universe. And so I just give thanks for the opportunity to transform, to release, to die to the old, and to be born again to the new. And for this and so much more, I give thanks and I let it be. Saying and so it is. Ashe. Okay. So, Tyranny, can you come on? Shirley, can you come on?
Hi, Monique.
Hi there. How y'all doing?
Good. How are you? I probably won't stay on because I have someone coming. I'm traveling, but I
Okay.
can pop in for a little bit.
Okay, good. That's fine. I just wondered if y'all gonna be here. I'm going through something, y'all, and what I'm going through is like like just a deeper devotion and commitment to the work, and because of it, like like my niceness is kind of going away. It's an interesting thing. So be it. So we are in the eclipse window in the seeing phase of the moon. So for those of you who are in the moon work class is designed to assist us in a process and monthly cycle of using our creative power, learning how to use our creative power, practicing it, right? So the first phase, which happened 2 weeks ago, was the planning phase. And that phase is where we begin to ask spirit. It's a practicing of asking spirit and listening. What would you have me do this month? Because we always have a new moon and a full moon. So we want to really learn how to listen every month to know that each month is a new opportunity for us to grow, to heal, to let go, to add in the area that the new moon is. And so this moon is Venus ruled, so that's about relationship, money, our value. It's our relationship to food, our relationship to our body. Like this is very, very, very significant to our daily way of being. So this moon cycle is an opportunity for us to really dig in deep with how we relate to ourselves and how we relate to the world. So that's the planning phase where you're beginning to ask. And then the planting phase is where you begin to use your imagination to cultivate the objective that comes through. So it's imagining yourself in a certain way of being, imagining yourself different than you are, but from a space of love, not from a space of criticism. And so that's the planting phase. And then we have the clearing phase. And the clearing phase is where we begin to look at what do we need to let go of in order to become this outcome, right? So, maybe your goal is like my goal this month is that I have access to my power to reprogram the 3D reality. And so what I know is that means that I have to reprogram my mind. I have to think about the world differently in order to have a different experience. I have to think about it different. And how that's looking for me intimately is, for instance, I'm making changes here at Follow the Sun. For 2 years, I've just been kind of getting clear about what my class structure was going to be, what were going to be the themes, and practicing. I've been practicing, but now I'm clear that I've practiced. I'm like, okay, this is what it's going to be going forward. So I have to think about that in a new way. I have to see
Right.
I have to see it as a new experience. So I've had to change a lot to understand, like, oh, this is what I'm actually doing, and this is how I'm going to execute it. So I had to let go of the part of me that doesn't know what I'm doing, or that thinks what I'm doing isn't valuable, or thinks the work that I'm doing doesn't act. Like, I had to let go of all that stuff. That's clearing, right? And then after clearing, you have gathering, and gathering is the Venus ruled energy, and gathering is when we move into feeling, right? Because creation really functions on how we feel. And as women, our sensory bodies are the key to the way we communicate with the universe. And many of us have been cut off from our feelings because it starts when you're young. You have to do stuff you don't want to do. Like, you got to go to school and you don't want to go. You got to go to church and you don't want to go. You got to hug Uncle James and you don't want to hug him. You know what I mean? All of that's how you start cutting off your feelings. By you get conditioned into it really early. And so you have to really begin to learn how to access your feelings again. And that takes time. It's not something that happens overnight, because your feelings, I know my feelings have often been scaring me, terrorizing me. Like, I feel this, oh, that's going to happen. So I've had to sit with that and reprogram those feelings. So that's the gathering phase. And now we are in the seeing phase. And the seeing phase is when you begin to tap into the universe's communication with you, the signs and symbols. This is so core to this work. Being able to recognize that the universe is always sending you signs and signals to communicate with you constantly. It never, ever, ever stops. It's always happening. And so this is the time at the first quarter phase of the moon where you'll start to feel a little bit of a crisis show up. Like, you'll start to feel like there will be some tension in your system. You can feel it. It probably showed up a few days ago because we're in the third day or so, but something showed up in your life that felt like, oh, fuck. And because when the moon is, it's time, and we've had this cycle has been running all of our lives. I'm just giving us information about how it's influencing us. And every month at some point you reach some point where you're like, where there is something that is calling you forward. And most of us, we don't know that it's an energetic, so we go back into an old behavior. Right? It's like you get to a point in your relationship where you're like, fuck this motherfucker. And then they come and say something like, oh, baby, and you go back into it, but the relationship doesn't change. You just stay in that same cycle. And it's because you have to be ready to do the work that would help you grow to become the person that isn't attracted to that pattern anymore. It's really about, this is where we actually get to make a choice to change the patterns. Now, the thing about this work is that it's about recognizing your relationship to the invisible. The work is invisible, you all. The guidance from inside of you might come as, like, when I was just walking into my house a moment ago, there were 300 crows flying over my house. That's information for me. They come every morning, and they come at dusk and they come at dawn. And they fly directly over my house to remind me that my power is alive. That's what the universe is communicating with me. I could be walking down the street and see a caterpillar that lets me know that I am in I'm in a stage of beginning to rebirth something else. The universe is constantly speaking to us. So as we're in this eclipse energy, what are some of the things that you are seeing about your life? What's showing up as an opportunity to grow you. And and what are you going to do with it? So I want us all to check in, and then I'm going to do a meditation, and then we're going. So who wants to go first? Shirley,
I
you.
will, since I'm here.
Okay. Yes.
You know, I just like last week just been going nonstop, a lot of back and forth. Really didn't have much sleep until last night.
Mm-hmm.
So finally got some rest, but today kind of took it easy, but you know, just still trying to, like you said, get out of the just being anxious, a lot of anxiety, kind of
Mm-hmm.
like in a back and forth about work versus personal things.
Mm-hmm.
So just trying to, you know, not, like you said, just really start making those decisions differently. But it's hard because, okay, we know that technically money is not real, but in this existence,
Yes.
we don't do those things like quote unquote work until we really understand how to harness that energy. It's like we'll be out on the street. So it's like that back and forth. Like I
Mm-hmm.
know what I'm doing is not what I'm supposed to be doing, but you know, trying to get out of it and just, you know, when I get really stressed, just stay in the bad habit of, you
Mm-hmm.
know, need more work, looking for another job, you know, that type of thing. So,
What kind of rituals are you doing to change your programming around money?
um, you know, I do the cinnamon on the first of the month.
Okay.
I do um like I started doing the 369 manifestation writing in the journal. I'm
Okay.
kind of behind on that, but again, because again I got stressed, so it's like when I get stressed, I start stopping the things that I was doing. So I'm trying to get back to that now that I'm gotten some rest and can think clearly. Because you know the first thing to kind of go is like my head. Like I can't think
Yes.
straight. I'm kind of all over the place. So like today was the first day, like I said, I've actually been able to think. So I'm like, okay, trying to calm down first and foremost. But you know, like I said, doing that, usually I'll be over my altar and then just listening to some different hurts on YouTube while
Okay.
I'm doing the writing.
Okay, good. Good. I just wanted to hear that you are that you are being intimate with yourself in this. And
Hmm.
I will say, is a money is an interesting one because it's because money is energy, but it's also for those of us who in Black bodies, we have been programmed, our ancestors worked for hundreds of years to make no money. Like we got to really know the epigenetics of this stuff runs deep.
Hmm.
So it's it's a really deeply programmed experience, and our culture is set up to be tricky around money. Like everybody's not taught the same things
Right.
around money,
Hmm.
right? So that's one part of it. And then we also treat money like it's God.
Right.
We think that it's going to, you know, many of us believe that if we just had money, that would solve all of our problems. And that is not true.
Right.
I read somewhere the other day, they said, if the solution to your problems is money, you don't have any problems. And I was like, wow, like that was just really interesting to me. Um, and so some of the things that have helped me around money, and money is one that I'm working on too. And this in the last few months, I literally just created the most intense experience so that I could just sit with my discomfort with money. Like I just wanted to feel it deeply. And I needed to do it in a safe way so that I could actually begin to deconstruct it. And the thing that I've seen is that I have a negative current that runs through my system that's tied to scarcity. And it's not mine, it's ancestral. And I'm very aware of that. And so as I sit with it and breathe into it and do the work around it, it's beginning to dissolve. And I go to great extremes to dissolve these ancestral patterns. So, because these things, for those of us who were raised Christian, when they talked about demons, like that's what it is. It really is like a negative entity plugged into our systems. And so, how to release yourself from negative entities? I use sulfur. I use something called DMSO. I take it every day because it breaks down. Like I was really aware that I had a stronghold. Y'all know that word from Christianity, a strong, and it's fucking real, right? So as I've been sitting in the discomfort with it every day, doing some sort of ceremony to meet myself in that place so that I could unclutch the mindset that says money is the solution. So it's just questioning all, like question, because the idea that money is the solution keeps money away. And the other thing that I had to do was find work that I really cared about. Like I found that there was a time when I was working just for money, but I didn't love the work. So really beginning to do work that I love is half the battle of shifting this money thing. So those are just some things. Anybody else have any suggestions on ways that they work with money or anything that, because this is very Venus, y'all. Venus is money. So we all know something about this in some way. Anybody else have anything that works for them?
Hi,
Hi,
how are you?
good and you.
Good, thanks. I had this kind of had this feeling recently a couple weeks ago, and I was talking to a girlfriend who's also always like struggling to live check to check, and I was like, "You're really functioning in your masculine. Like, you got to step out of that." And like, because she's very productive, but like, it's just like a constant race, and you can see it on her so much, and it's like it feels very desperate. And so I was talking to her and I was saying, I totally get that. Like I feel that feeling of like, oh, I just want a check to come. Like I just want a check to come. And then I realized one of the exercises you talk about, which is really creating that feeling, like I guess that would be the gathering. Is that right? Like it feels so good now that.
Yes.
And so I really just started acting like I had money. Like like what would I be doing if I had money? Like how would I be feeling? I wouldn't, just because I had money, I wouldn't be spending a lot of money. I would probably still be, organizing my accounts and, making sure that T's are crossed and I's are dotted. And I would be judicious about my money. But I just started creating the feeling of like, yeah, I have money. Like, and it was like such a subtle shift, but it was enough where I was like, oh yeah, I'm not stressed because maybe I don't have money right now, but like I know I have money. I know it's out there. And interesting enough, like as a kid, I was always like money just I've always made money like easily. Never as a kid, I was selling at like 5 years old, I was selling drawings to people for $3 in like 1991. You know what I mean? Like just finding ways to make money. So it was never a challenge for me until I started having kids and then I was out of the workforce. But just really generating that feeling of like, well, what would it feel like a sense of calm, a sense of security. Like that's what the money provides us, right? A sense of access, a sense of security. I would say those are the main two things, right? Access and security. I can access what I need and I feel safe that what I need I can get
Yes.
at that time. So just creating that feeling in my body, like you said, of like, well, I have it.
Mm-hmm. That's great.
I know it sounds simple, but it's like,
No, it
it's
is.
it's hard to grasp. It's really hard to grasp.
But that's the moon work though. That's why, like,
Yeah.
there are people in here now who are not in the moon work with us, and it's very important to know that the ability to generate a feeling is a part of your magic. The ability to imagine something is a part of your magic. And you can't have magic if you're not using your imagination, if you're not using your sensory system, if you're not speaking about yourself in the way that you desire to be experiencing the world. That is the magic. And one of the things Spirit has been saying to me lately is you're going to have to lose your mind. You're going to have to lose that attachment to that logical, rational, like it can't be the way you function. That's masculine. Like you have to be able to dream and play and oh my God, I have so much money. I'm about to go to, take this trip with my girlfriends and I'm gonna invite them with me. And it's such and such's birthday. I'm gonna pay for her trip. And you have to be able to play in it. Like when we were children and we just sit and play house. And as adults, that sounds crazy. It sounds irrational. But the universe responds to that. That's how the universe works. Thanks for that, Kai. Do you want to do your check-in now? How you doing?
Yeah, sure. Thanks. Well, that was a couple of weeks ago, and the money is, well, I would just say to add to that, a friend called me, and she was needing like a doctor's note or something like that, trying to see if I could get her a doctor's note. And I was kind of talking her through it. And I kind of had this like stress around money. And I'm like, okay, well, do I ask her for money in exchange for giving her this note? Or like, but she's kind of a friend. And, I started creating all this anxiety around the money. And I was like, okay, Kaya, just relax. Like, just trust that it will reveal itself. You're doing it with an open heart. And, and she ended up saying, after I was kind of helping her, I was probably on the phone with her for like 40 minutes. She ended up saying, what can I give you? Like, what can I pay you? And I was like, oh, like a love donation. She was like, these Black women and these love donations. She was like, I'm not for that. Give me a specific amount. Give me a specific amount. And I was like, okay, well, I will admit I have a level of discomfort around asking for money when I'm coming from a place of, especially like you said, like you're in healing work. It feels weird to attach money to healing work. So, but at the same time, it's your time and energy and it's draining, and you're choosing to do that instead of something else, fold your laundry, buy your groceries, whatever it is. And so I said, yeah, that's valid. It's something I'm working on. So I'll say, for a brief consultation, give me $25. And she said, bet. I'm going to tell you $25. And so I had $25 in my account at the end of the day. And it was like, in my mind, I didn't even think twice about it. So I was like, it's $25, not $1,000. But I was like, still, I was creating that feeling of having money. And now money is kind of showing up, even in small amounts, but it's showing up.
Yeah.
So I was really, recognizing how I put that out and what I was receiving back. This last few days, I would say the main thing that I'm experiencing is like a huge resurgence of all of the stressors that I experienced as a child via my mother, and then around childcare, like around taking care of my children. So as I'm taking care of my children, I'm feeling all the anxiety that my mother felt. And today and that I'm sure my grandmother to some extent felt. And when we did clearing, that was when the follow the sun, I got locked out and I was like, oh, I can't do my clearing. I need to check in, blah, blah, blah. And the only statement I came up with was, I clear all the ways I don't trust myself. And I could see that from there, that lack of self-confidence, it was just like a huge domino effect for everything that came after. And so what I've been what's been coming up a lot from, like, I cleared that.
Mhm.
And then I've been like working on gathering, like, okay, it feels so good now that I do trust myself. It feels so good, and really working around that trusting myself piece, which I realize the anxiety and the stress comes from that, because kind of what our sister who just shared before is like, you start thinking like, well, if I don't have this, or if I don't have this money, then I'm not going to be able to make this. Or if I'm busy taking care of my kids, I'm not going to be able to do this. And then you just start going down the pathway. And I know that's what my mother experienced. I know she was like, I don't have a community. I don't have anyone else helping me to raise my children. This man is not paying child support all the time, like all these things. And so she just like shriveled up into like a ball of like depression, really. And I just kind of watched that.
Mhm.
And so there was something, I think, on Instagram that I saw recently that said, between the ages of 0 to 7, a parent is responsible for regulating their child's nervous system. And I was like, wow, then no wonder my nervous system was completely dysregulated, because for those first 7 years, there was no support, there was no security, and I was looking to her and she did not have it. And
Yes.
so it's like all coming up. And so today my son was home sick from school, and I was like dreading like homeschooling, because I just was like, I have a whole list of things I need to do. And so as I was there teaching, working with him, and we were spelling words and stuff like that, I was just feeling all of that like angst coming up. And I had to just sit there, and I work with touch points to help, like kind of like what's that eye thing you do, EMDR, kind of like that, but it's certain touch points on the body that really help to down regulate the nervous system when it's in fight or flight mode. So I was doing my touch points as I was feeling it, and I was like making all these connections and really just like trying to be in the space, like you said, like be uncomfortable, but recognize like where it's coming from,
Yes.
so that I wasn't beating myself up or running to a place of like, I need to escape this feeling, or I need to fix this feeling. And it was a lot. It was like a lot to feel in one go.
Mhm.
And I just remember thinking like, well, no wonder why I'm always stressed and anxious, because I don't feel like I can take the time to just be in the moment, because my nervous system is completely dysregulated. I'm always thinking what I'm not going to have. If I don't do this, then I'm not going to get this. If I don't do that, I'm not going to get. And it would even get to the point where, like, when I would eat, and that sleepiness you get after, I would start to panic, because I'm like, if I get sleepy, I'm not going to be able to stay on track and do everything I need to do. And I was like, wow, your nervous system is fucked. Like fucked for a really long time. So it's coming up in like really intense ways, definitely in this past week. And I'm just using all my techniques, my rituals, my self-care practices, like just always like going to music for me is really reparative. Going to water is really reparative.
Mhm.
And I thought to myself, like, wow, like had my mother been able to get up and like put a song on while she was in that moment, like how it would have shifted the energy, and how she could have moved through that space instead of just like lying in this like pit of despair.
Mhm.
I'm not her, so I'm not worried now that I'm going to be like her. But I think that was one of my greatest fears, was like, well, I'm just going to end up like that as well. So really just incorporating as many of my rituals and moving through the space, like not thinking so much, but when I start feeling that kind of sense of despair and anxiety, being like, okay, take a deep breath, or put a song on, or hum, or like, the yum and the lum that you did the other day. That's been helping too. The mudras, like just finding ways to keep the energy moving and not stagnating in that shadow space.
Yes. Oh,
So
that's so good, because you're about to have a full moon in your sun.
I know. I'm like,
A full moon eclipse.
I know.
So that explains all the energy you're feeling, though, also. The
Okay.
reason it's so intense is because your system is anticipating this
Mm,
energy coming. And when we know the astrology, we don't have to make it about what somebody said. Or da, da, da. It's the energy, right? And so
Right.
the more the more devoted you are to yourself and to understanding how the energy is experiencing you, like you get to the point where you're like, oh, I don't need a story for this, but the energy is still there. So you
Mhm.
process that energy, but you
Mhm.
don't have to have a narrative that goes along with it. And that's just practice.
Mm. And then I just wanted to add one thing that was interesting, that with that same son, he's the one who's got like kind of like anger issues or whatever, outbursts. And he was having like a fight with me the other day and like kicking and screaming. And I was like you said, I was just feeling, I wasn't calling it anything. I was just like, this is just energy. This is like energy needing to go somewhere. And
Yeah.
he's like fighting. And then he looks up, and I really just like was like keeping this in my mind. Okay, you're regulating his nervous system. You're regulating his nervous system. So what are you going to do in response to this anger? And I just said, I kind of like relaxed. I didn't restrain him or anything like that. And then at one point he kind of like gets to a point where it's like a gasket and it just like flies off. Finally, it just like a geyser just opens up and it releases. This is common for him. But in the moment, I was really focusing on it. And after it flew off, he looks at me and he goes, Mama, I want to do art. I was like, okay, now the energy has gone creative. Like now, so I was really just mindful of like, it's just energy and it's trying to find a way through him. And he's trying to find a way to express it. And like, that's kind of what he could grab onto that was positive, but he needed to outlet a lot of stuff. So I'm sure he's feeling I don't think he has anything in Taurus, but he's the one with the Virgo moon and the Pisces rising and the Scorpio sun.
Oh yeah, the sun just went into Scorpio, Pisces. When people are little, I'm like, my son's, I'm like, he doesn't know, so it's okay. Like I look at his chart, like, almost at least once a week to see what's going on, just so that I can meet him there. Like he doesn't know what it is, but I can have a awareness of it so that I can be with it.
Yeah.
For that.
Thank you.
Who's next? What's going on? What's the energy bringing up for you, and how are you taking care of yourself through it, or not taking care of yourself? But if you're here, you're probably doing something to take care of yourself.
I can go quickly.
I can, okay.
Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead, Risha. Go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, I have been feeling really like I'm just ready to go. Like I'm ready. I'm like, what is the next thing to do? What is the next task? I am so ready to start just tackling the next thing. And yet I can't, because my wonderful body is working with me. And I literally I have like these weird illnesses and the doctors can't figure them out, but they're present, and it is keeping me locked down, which is good, I think, because it's really forcing me, well, it's allowing me, I'm not forced, it's allowing me to finally stop and accept that it's time to go into those dark places that I've been avoiding for a very long time. And it's time to do that work. And I don't think it's going to be as scary as I've made it out to be, but it's lonely. I cry daily. And yet I'm very aware that this is important, but it's probably the most discouraging time I've ever had in my life, because I am more of a logic. Let's put these numbers together. Let's look at the science, like I'm not, I worked really hard to become an engineer, and now I'm like, everything has been taken away. And what am I left with? Oh, I'm so sorry. Oh, that's my alarm. It stopped. But it's good. So all of that to say, even when I'm speaking to you, I'm like a state of confusion, not even sure if I'm making sense, but I am really open to this work, and I've begun to do it in a way that I've never done it before, which is being present, which is really showing up for myself And I would just kind of be here and just sort of skirt by, but I've actually been able to like sit in this and actually hear what you're saying, Monique, and feel into it and do the rituals. And that makes me so happy. So even though I'm crying all the time and I'm just like, what's my next job? And where is this man at? And blah, 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 blah. I'm also like, wow, I'm getting up at 4:30 a.m. and it feels amazing. And wow, I'm like working on my body and I can't push myself the way that I usually do, but there's a peace in just like knowing I don't have to. So anyway, that's my sharing.
That's beautiful. Thank you, Risha. That's beautiful. There's a reward in that. It's, I feel like I did spiritual work for years with what felt like no results for years. And there was no place to go, because if I was going to go to a doctor, then there was going to be like medication, but that wasn't going to be a real solution. So I knew like there's no point in that. And I also would have these experiences where just when I was going to quit, it would open up a little bit and I would be like, okay, fuck, all right, I'm not going to quit. You know what I mean? And so, and it's almost like the universe, like what I know now looking back was that I was always given what I could handle. Like in my mind, I thought I wanted it all. I wanted this immediate solution, but I really couldn't handle an immediate solution, because now that I really understand what spiritual work is, I see how deep and all encompassing it is. So it's grace for you to get it slowly. I'm clear now that I would really be crazy had I been given everything I wanted when I wanted it. I didn't have the capacity to hold it. And when we do this kind of work, and it's not just this work. You guys can be doing work somewhere else. You guys always hear me say it's not fucking about me, and it's not. I do, but you have to have a system that you're working regularly. There has to be consistency, because you can feel like you're running in place for years, and then all of a sudden you're there overnight. Like, like that is real. That is really real. And so I didn't know what I didn't know, but now I do know. And even in this last several months, I'm still getting like, fuck, like I've been doing this work for years, and now I'm having this huge sort of shift that I now I'm starting to see aspects of myself that have been so entrenched in my behavior, and I'm starting to see them, and they show up in spirit as like, okay, let's let this go. And I'm like, you're trying to ask me to cut my nose off my face. Like, how do I let this go? And then spirit gives me a way to let it go. But the ability to identify the thing, the ability to identify the actual behavior or mindset is a invitation to say that I'm ready to let it go. If I can name what it is that I'm doing, then I can let it go. But if I can't name it and I'm just like, oh my God, that's just, but if I like, then I'm still in it, because I've not really done the work to identify what it is. Actually, I'm just in reaction to something. But when I can see like, oh, you think this thought and you do this, and that comes from that, and oh, then I can name it, then spirit's like, okay, now you're ready to let it go, because you actually can identify it. And because you're a Gemini, Gemini is in the details. So the work is really paying attention to yourself. Really paying attention to yourself. What's this health stuff I got going on? Why am I doing this? When did this show up? What is this about? Like, really? How does this feel in my body? What part of the body is this? What is the meaning this? What is the, like, and then the body starts to soften and open up. And it's really interesting how this stuff works. It's very fascinating. That Gemini mind is it's a key like nobody's business. And if it doesn't fit the lock, it's not going to open it. So I understand your experience to the degree that I do, because I have a Gemini moon, but I do understand that it is a very detailed experience. And that's why I'm always saying, the more we can write about what we're experiencing and name it, it's a easier path to freedom. Anyway, thank you for that, Risha. Okay. Ladera, you ready? That was you wanted to go, yeah.
Oh, yeah. So what have I been doing? I've been just listening to myself. And so I tell myself a million stories a day about something or anything. And I'm like, I stop myself and I'm like, okay, that's not what you want to do. You're going to do something different. So now I've actually just been listening to myself, listening to my negativity and stopping it and seeing where it's coming from. I've also been just feeling inside of my body and staying inside of my body, because a lot of the times when I'm doing something, I'll just fly away and go somewhere else. And so I've been doing more grounding and going outside and grounding and just staying inside of my body and feeling everything that I'm meant to feel. I was having sex with my husband today, and I literally started flying away, and I'm like, oh shit. I was like, no, come back to your body, come back to your body and stay there, because he was doing something I didn't like. So I just started going somewhere else. And then I'm like, oh, that's what he's talking about when he says I'm not here, because I'm not. And I was like, oh, okay. So I've just been, being more present and staying inside of my body. And what else? And just listening. And sometimes I can go outside and I can see different things. Like I'll see like a metallic star just out of nowhere. And I'm like, oh, I wonder how many times I see that a day. Or if I'm even paying attention, or if I'm like, am I going crazy? But then I will see it and I will sit and meditate on it and see if I can get it to come back. And so I've just been paying more attention to myself. And what I'm doing in 13 moons is I've been saying that I will use my gifts and talents that are unique to me so that I can be the activated expression of love. And so I've been just, staying inside of myself more. And so that's really all I've been working on.
That's powerful. Congratulations on that.
Thank you.
Risha, Ladera used to be a scientist. She's still a scientist in her own way, but just so you know, like that science brain is a real thing. And so
It's a lot. Because I always look for like, okay, is that RSD within 2%? Am I gonna, has this happened enough times to say, okay, yes, this is what you can do? And so, yeah, and I've been out of work it's been a year now, but I've been at peace with it. So I've been very thankful for not making money. And I'm like, because I was the primary breadwinner of our house. And now that I'm not, I'm just grateful that I have still everything I need.
That's good.
So,
That's
yeah.
really awesome. I feel like that mind that I also experience in myself that overthinks creates, like, the mind creates tight energies in the body that then show up as health challenges. And so Yeah, it's interesting to study the body and the organs, and like like if you have health challenges, study the organs of those health challenges. Like study, right? Like pray for it, touch it, talk to it. Really get intimate with your body and ask, well, why are you doing this? Like, what do you need from me? What's going on? And yeah, and so that's like the tantra practice of leaning into it. Like lean into the health challenge, which I know that, Risha, I feel like that's what you're doing. Lean into it rather than run away from it. Like it's information. And so thank you for that, Ladera. Is there anything else you want to say?
No, I don't think so. I just know that I'm supposed to be starting to help more, and I just don't know how that's gonna look. So I've just been, saying that I will heal and I will help and I will be in my purpose as an activated expression of love. So I've been saying that more with the 13 Moons class. Um, but yeah, so that's pretty much it.
Thank you.
Hmm.
Okay, who's next?
I'll go next. I recently went through a situation where a guy that I've been seeing for about 2 years.
You're pretty new here.
I am. This is my first 13 moon cycle. So
Okay, welcome.
I
Yeah.
am. Thank you. Thank you. Well, yeah, I was dating this guy for about 2 years and it was a continuous back and forth cycle. So we split October 1st, but it's funny that you said where you felt something shift about 3 days ago. I was getting ready to text him to start the cycle all over again, and I didn't. And that was like Saturday. So for the past 2 days, I've just felt very at peace, very calm, just something I've never really experienced before because I realized that I don't really know myself outside of a love and relationships and other people's stuff. So I've just been kind of isolating, staying off social media, just really trying to figure out what it is that I truly want for me. What do I like? What I don't even know what foods I really like outside of other people's stuff. And what do I like to do outside of, okay, go here because you might meet a man, or go here because your friends are going here. And I realized, yeah, so that's what I'm just kind of working through, being quiet, asking myself a lot of questions. Is that your stuff or is that someone else's stuff? And trying to break all of that down to really get to the core of who I am. So it's been hard. It's been very hard. And so I'm just working through a lot of that.
Yes, that is so beautiful. I love the honesty. Yeah. Isn't it interesting how hard it is for us to focus on ourselves?
I just felt like it would be so much easier for me to just text them, hey, let's talk. And
Yeah.
to go back. And I saw that in myself. I'm like, you don't want this. This is not what you want, but this is where you're comfortable. This is what you have been doing for 2 years. And you're afraid to see what's on the other side of this. And then
Woo!
I was like, oh girl.
Touch my pearls.
I just read myself. But it was honest, and that was the truth. You don't know what you look like outside of what you have been doing, and not just with him, but with the guy before him and the guy before him. What you have been doing since you started dating when you're 16 years old. What do you look like on this other side? And that's where I'm trying to get.
That is powerful. Congratulations. I mean, that's everything. That is everything to be able to see yourself. And this is your first moon cycle, right?
Yes.
Yes. For you to get that in a first moon cycle, that's powerful.
Thank you.
What's sun sign?
A Scorpio. So we're in
Oh,
Scorpio.
yeah, well, that's why you had, yeah, okay, yeah, that explains it. All right.
But
Yeah.
yeah, we're Scorpio season, and it came like right at the cusp of it. So I'm like, oh my gosh.
That is powerful. So you're gonna have a new energy for your birthday. When is your birthday?
31st.
Oh, yeah. So that's woo, girl. That is really something. And you got that 31st birthday. So that means you're very tapped into the other dimensions and things like that. But if you've been distracted, you wouldn't have access to that. You've been using that energy to distract rather than to go deeper. But look at here you are.
Yeah, it's hard. But I'm gonna stick with it. But I
Yeah,
come out of meditations crying sometimes.
that's okay. That is okay. It's not easy to change patterns. And I feel like the only place that we see people struggle for what they want in our culture is athletes. We see them really work hard. We see them break their bodies down. We see them damn near hurt themselves in order to win, right? But that's just the creative process. We just see it in athletes. It's the same for anything that we deeply desire. It means breaking down your old way of being to access something new. And it's rigorous. And most people are not going to do the work. And that's okay. Like they don't have to. It's really okay. It's not about everybody don't need to do the work. Everybody don't have to do the work. But those of us who feel compelled to something more from within ourselves, like that feeling, there's a feeling in you that's like, I desire something. It's not even about want. It's like, I want to be myself. Right? It's a deep call. I want to be myself. I want to be myself in this love relationship. I want to be myself in my work. I want to be myself, and I'm not that yet. So what does that require of me? And it requires sacrificing the person you are now to actually become who you feel you are. Ooh. And only you feel it. So only you can access it. Nobody else can do it for you. And I love relationship. Like I think relationship is beautiful. And I don't believe that everyone has to be single to access their power. I do not believe that. But I believe that it takes an extra profound person to access their power in a relationship, because you will inevitably change in ways that impacts the relationship, and then that's an interesting thing. So it can be easier not to be in a relationship and change, because nobody's going, what are you doing, or how you used to do this, and that. But it still doesn't matter. Like I know I'm in relationship with my son's grandmother and my son's father, even though we're not married. When I make changes in my life, everybody who works with me and everybody feels it. Everybody's like, and I've had to learn that, like, oh, I'm about to shift, and now everybody else is going to impact. And so then oftentimes I don't want to do it, because I'm like, I don't want them to complain about it. I don't want them to. But then that's the work. Can I be authentic to myself?
I just blocked my sister on a social media site because she's newly Christian and she's always sending me scriptures. And I told her to stop. And then she sent me another one. And I'm like, am I actually going to block my sister? And I blocked her. And I was like, go you.
Yes.
You don't have to deal with this.
That's right. Right. So congratulations.
Thank you.
Great. Who's next?
Am I love?
Yeah.
It's me. Okay.
Oh.
I'm over here cracking up because I relate everything. And it when I was in the moon work, it would amaze me how often the stories came together. So okay, let's start with Shirley.
Mhm.
The money thing. I've been basically just working part-time for over a year. And for the most part, like everything's good. But when you said that shift a couple days back, that's when I started to like, I need to go back to work and I need to do the hustle and the grind and blah blah blah. Um, but I kind of got yeah. So I got this message that if I had the money, I wouldn't be doing the work.
Mm. Oh, ah, oh. That's
So
so.
that was Friday. And then yesterday, a lot of my mother's stuff hit me. Her story is a struggle. And so when you're talking about ancestors,
Mhm.
yeah. Um, so that's where I'm at.
Mhm.
That's where I'm at. But yeah, just telling myself or trying to tell myself to let go of those stories and that narrative,
Mhm.
that I don't need the money, that I'm not less than because I don't have whatever job or position and live in whatever house and all of that.
Mhm. Asha, you look so pretty, just so you know.
Oh, thank you.
You look like I was like, wow, you look so pretty. Yeah.
Thank you.
I appreciate that level of introspection to hear yourself say, if you had the money, you wouldn't be doing the work. Oftentimes, money is a distraction because it can have a way. I know for me, it in my mind, I'm always in the future when I have, oh, I need this, I need that. I'm not really present. I'm doing these other things because the money is this access thing, right? So now I know when the money is not there, it's because I need to be more embodied. Like the universe is gently saying, get present in your system. And I watch myself do it. I can start scrolling on anthropology and looking at dresses. Like I can, I mean, it's constant, and and that is all a distraction from the now, from the present moment. You know, especially when I got a closet full of dresses, I don't need another fucking dress. Like, it's like you have, like what spirit shows me is like there's so much you can be and do that has nothing to do with money. Take up that space. Take up the space that is available to be taken up that doesn't need you to pay to access it. It's a whole nother thing when you pay attention to that. And like I was saying to Shirley, like understanding that we have this ancestral trauma that is associated with these Black bodies. And so, Ashe. Mm-hmm. Who's next?
I think it's me.
Hi there.
Hi. So I'm new to the space. I think this is, well, I had a reading with you. I was going to say, I think this is my first time speaking with you, but I had a reading with you. Kirti. So I was working with Kirti and she recommended that I at least meet you to see if I wanted to work with you rather than her. And both of you were recommending one another. So I think I'll give a little background. I'm learning a lot about myself. been separated. Well, I'm divorced now, from a relationship, like a high school sweetheart. So someone I was with my whole life, pretty much. When I was 16, I experienced an NDE that came about because of an assault. And that assault resulted in my first child. So from the age of 16, for me, I knew that my internal world was more real than the external world. But I didn't like have the language for that or any understanding of it. I just navigated that way. And everything just seemed weird to me in the external world. But I felt like I needed safety. So I attached myself. I'm born, raised Christian as well. So, you know, it was like, you need a man. And in my case, I felt like that was true for safety. And so I connected with someone who I thought I fell in love with at first sight. And I know today that our inner children fell in love there, you know, and that we had like a lot of trauma to work out together, and we did. It was a very toxic relationship, very abusive relationship, financial, mental, emotional, spiritual, all those things. But I existed like in the liminal space, you know, so I really spent my lifetime kind of like floating, like someone said, floating on the outside of my body, just like witnessing everything around me from like a rooftop perspective. I think people probably call that empath. I don't really attached to the labels or languages. But what I know today is that I like lived my whole life for everyone around me, you know, kind of like taking care of everyone's needs, even when they weren't asking me to. And then during in 2019, I was really excited for 2020. Like something in me just was so excited for 2020. My birthday is March, so my Pisces sun. Hey, pause. So my birthday is March. I turned 45 on my birthday, and then the pandemic happened. And by September, I just really was feeling like I was engaging with a parasite, but for me, the parasite was my partner. And I was watching the whole world, you know, like experience this parasite. And I was experiencing like a different version of a parasite. So I kind of felt like I was given the opportunity to like step away from all of the patterning and the momentum that I had put in place, you know, in my life. And so I left my relationship. At that point, it had been 20 years. And when I left, I just left, signed over the rights to everything just to like get my freedom. And at that time I became homeless. So I was like isolated just like everyone else was, but I was guided into this isolation. It was hard and very uncomfortable, but I felt like I was being asked to do that, you know. And that's what my life has always felt like something was guiding me even when I didn't know, you know. Again, I never had the language for any of this. I just walked the path. And so I really, now, what I've been doing recently is bringing more awareness and intention to what's happening in my life. And for me, it feels like learning a new language, like being in these spaces and connecting with the history of things, the patterning of things, the language of things. It's helping me understand my life in a way that I was experiencing it, but not really understanding what was happening, you know? So for me, this feels like an opportunity to be more intentional about how I walk. And I'm excited about that because to me, it feels like my opportunity to really understand my magic. And I think a part of me is afraid of that, like afraid of understanding that magic because I don't know how to want. Like that's what I'm understanding about myself. I don't know how to want. So yeah, that's where I am. And that's the work I've been doing. And like this dog is another something that I manifested. You know, I've been isolated for the whole 3 years. When I left in 2020, and I've just been like divorcing my ex resulted in me divorcing my whole family, not willingly. But I also accept that that was a part of the work for me, that I needed to sit by myself because I needed to do my own work. I was working for everyone else and not doing my own work, so I wasn't being myself.
Yes.
You know, so this is an opportunity for me to become me.
Yes.
And I was praying for a companion. I bought a dog bed in December, and then she arrived in May. And she's just perfect. She's like my soulmate. So yeah, that's where I am.
Thank you so much for that. Thank you so much. I love us as women. Like I love being a woman. I love being in the embodiment of being a woman because it has always felt magical to me, even though the world doesn't give you any of that, but it is. And to be a woman now, to have opportunity to wake up and get to know yourself and access your magic and experience how real it is. One of the things, I was sitting with a girlfriend of mine talking today, and like I said, I do believe that people can access the power in relationships, but there is something so incredible about realizing that your primary relationship is to the creator, and that energy is in you, and you have, like, you know, a front row seat to the creator. It's such a powerful thing. My girlfriend was saying today, like, she wouldn't trade her relationship to the creator and her magic for anything. Nothing is worth it. Like, it's so juicy and awe-inspiring that she wouldn't give it up for there's nothing worth it, nothing on the earth realm worth it. And I was just like, wow, that's really interesting. So it's however we're doing it, whether we're in relationship or by ourselves or a little bit of both, the intimacy with yourself, nothing can beat it. Nothing beats it. Nothing. And just to be in the mindset where you really desire yourself. That's everything. It's everything.
Yeah, I would have to say that I completely agree. I don't know that I would have said that, you know, myself, but I've been put in this position, you know, of just being with myself. I have 4 kids and 2 granddaughters. And those relationships are coming back together. But it just felt like no matter what I did, it was like I was doing too much, you know? And no matter what I did, it just seemed to be making it worse. So I understood that I was getting the message to sit by myself, you know, just be with yourself. And so I just had to accept that. So I would say the same, like the magic that I embody, I wouldn't give it up for anything. Like I have children that that I've had to make the choice to not allow even those relationships to get in the way. I want to say my youngest is 23. So when I say kids, they're all adults. But I still desire those relationships. But I was asked to not allow even those to get in the way, so.
Sure. Thank you. Thank you so much. Madeline, do you want to share?
I can share. Yeah, I would like to. I'm really feeling the eclipse window. And I'm realizing like nothing. I came out of this period of contraction. I kind of put myself in all summer, and it just felt so fucking intense. It was the death of so much. And I was just like, I was waiting for the end. Like, I'm making this big move. I was waiting for, like, I knew I couldn't wait. And it was like, oh, everything's going to feel so much better, right? Once I get this, and which is never right the way to think about things. And although I gained all these lessons, and I really did, I really had to sit with like the deeper people pleasing's always been a thing. I'm a Libra, and I was a caretaker of my mother. Just all these things. I've been responsible for other people for a long time. And that is what feels comfortable. And I realize in this in-between state, I feel almost like I let that go. But there's something not clear about what's coming, which has at other times felt okay. But I think because I'm coming out of this phase of contraction, I'm realizing like I have a lot of fear, and I have doubt. Like there was some damage done to trusting in my ability to maintain my magic, because it gave me a big self-esteem blow, more than I realized. It just felt so intense. And so it's like I'm in this space where I feel the charge coming back, and I feel the life force energy, and there's like, oh shit, what if I fumble the ball? Like that's kind of in my head right now during this eclipse time. And that's the first time I've really felt into that. And so I'm just really not making stories. Like I'm observing these things come and go, and kind of laughing sometimes about my, like, oh yeah, all right, that's from this, and that's from having a baby really young and feeling like you had to prove yourself to everybody, or that's from, like all of these things. They're in my body though. They're like, so, but I'm able to, once I acknowledge them and know and can name them, I think that's what you were kind of talking about before. Like that's what's happening. I feel like I'm just feeling all this shit so I can really name it, and get it out of the way. And I know I have to do that before stuff is clear. I can't just like wait for some shift to come and save me and pull me out of what I'm feeling. I have to feel it. Yeah, so that's what I'm a Libra, and I have my south node in Libra. So this new moon was like, I actually just felt like great. I had like this comfort. I just felt like, like I guess not that I was doing anything profound or even great for myself. I just felt comfortable and good. And then between last week and now, I could just feel the energies building. And I'm like, oh, you have to leave that, actually, like those comfortable things. It's time. And you have to trust yourself. And I'm really just, everything needs to be like internally focused. I need that time and space. And I need to not care about people feeling like whatever stories they create because I'm not available, they just don't matter. And there was a lot of grieving that came with that. And I think I finally feel like okay and free from that. And so I'm just waiting for what's next. And I get all antsy and I get all, all the stories can come in. And so that's really it. I'm just breathing through those. I'm writing a lot. Sometimes I just need to put it out of myself and then I can get rid of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's kind of it. That's it for me. Taurus is my 5th house, which is like fun stuff, I hope. But who knows? It's an eclipse. Who knows what it will feel like.
Well,
But
Jupiter is in Taurus, so that's good news.
Okay.
And Uranus, so that means change, so it's going to be at the 4th degree. But the 5th house is good. It really is. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's beautiful. Well, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for that.
Thank you.
All right, y'all. I'm gonna just do a little bit of a meditation for us. And what do I want to do a meditation to assist us in being embodied and accessing, our ability to use our feelings to create, because that's what this Venus energy is about. It's the I feel so good energy. And it's important for us to, like, I know I can get so bogged down and caught in a feeling and then narrate it with negativity. And we don't, that's not, it's like, it's my choice to do that. It's like the ability to narrate our feelings in ways that are playful and lighthearted and with dance and music, all that's Venetian stuff, right? Food, all of these things are here as tools to support us to feel good. And I'm learning that I can activate that anytime if I'm willing to do it. Like, so when I first wake up in the morning, lately I've been running to my window to see Venus. And she's been huge. And I just am like, oh, it feels so good to see that Venus is at my window kissing me. Like, thank you. So I'm going to do a bit of a meditation and then we're going to just close out. So let me get us a little bit of music. Let's see if I can find some music for us.
May there be peace and love and perfection throughout all creation. O God, may there be peace and love and perfection throughout.
Can you all hear me? And the music? Yes?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Okay. So let's just relax and take 3 deep breaths and get into our bodies, out of our heads. Breathe in and breathe out. Breathe in and breathe out. Breathe in and breathe out. So imagine yourself standing on grass with your feet bare. Imagine your toes pushing into the earth. And as your toes push into the earth, imagine them opening up and feeling the energy of the earth just coming into your body system. That the earth is breathing through you and with you. You are an instrument that the earth is playing with its own frequencies, with its own feelings like wind and sun and sounds of water. This is the energy that is within you. The oceans and the streams is like the blood in your body. The actual earth is like your skin, your flesh, your own body. The wind and the air is the breath that you breathe and the thoughts that you think. You are one with all that is in this earth realm. And so as you breathe in the earth and the earth breathes into you, be with the experience of how good it feels. It feels so good to feel good. It feels so good to be connected to Source. In your breath, in your mind, and in your body. It feels so good to feel safe and secure. It feels so good to have every need met. It feels so good. And so now just imagine that you sit down on the earth and the grass feels good. It's soft on your body. And you just run your hands through the grass as you're sitting there. And you feel the warmth of the sun on your body. And we're going to bring your attention to your root chakra. That's the area between the area beneath your, gosh, I don't even know how to say the language. The area in your vagina where you would tighten it up. That's the root. Where you would hold your urine. That's the root. So the color that goes with this chakra, the first chakra, is red. And this is how we create safety and security in this earth realm. So imagine the roots of your body growing out of your body and through the earth and all around the earth and to the core of the earth. Your oneness with the earth realm is anchored in your root system. And the sound for this is lum. Lum. Allow that sound of lum to just resonate through your body. And give thanks for feeling safe and secure in this dimension. And now you want to bring your attention to the energy beneath your navel. This is your sacral chakra, the pleasure center, where we feel good in our creating. We access pleasure in our ability to dance and create with the masculine. The color is orange. And the sound is Vam. How good it is to create in pleasure. To know that you can connect with the masculine within you and externally to bring life into your desires. And now bring your attention to the area beneath your breast and above your navel. This is your solar plexus chakra. your wheel, your magic wand. And the sound for the solar plexus is, the sound for the solar plexus is Ram. The color is yellow. This is your inner sun. It is the place where your ego, the part of you that is unique to you, is born and activated. Your creations are your creations. And now bring your attention to your heart chakra, the area between your breast. The color is green, and this is the bridge from the lower realms to the higher realms, where we embrace all things with love. Love is the cure for everything. Love is the cure for everything within us. And the sound is Yum. And now bring your attention to the area just at the base of your throat chakra, where we speak life into existence. We speak death, we speak joy, we speak transformation, we speak truth. The color is light blue. And the sound is hum. And now bring your attention to the first eye, the area between your eyebrows, where your pineal gland is. This is the seat of consciousness. The color is indigo, and the sound is where we see with our first eye. We see from within ourselves with the eyes of God. And now bring your attention to your crown chakra. The color is gold, and this is the energy that connects us to the heavenly realms, that connects us to the invisible realms. The color is golden white, and the sound is ow. And now we flow from the root to the crown. Lam, bam, ram, yam, hum, om, ow. And so we give thanks for our own connection to Source within us, that the power of consciousness and God is the embodiment of self, that God is sourced within us, the God Goddess presence is accessed in our own body temples. And so I give thanks and I trust and know that each and every one of us is sourced through our own connection to the Creator, that our minds are open, our hearts are open, our magic is flowing, We feel safe and secure, and there's pleasure in our experience. And we give thanks. And in our thanksgiving, we expand. So when you're ready, you can imagine and feel the place where you're sitting, giving thanks for the earth and the imagination that allows you to connect to the earth. And now you can bring your system, your energy, your body into the space where you are now. Take a deep breath. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes. Thank you guys for joining this evening. I love y'all very much. I'm so grateful to be here with you. And we'll see you at the full moon. I love y'all.
Thank you.
You're
Good
welcome.
night. Thank you.